is the last Talk About It Tuesday for 2022. So I want to give a year-end review of what happened in the economy in 2022 and talk about how we can take advantage of new opportunities created by the stuff that happened in 2022 in 2023. So we saw a reopening of the U.S. economy post-pandemic, even though the pandemic isn't really over. But we saw a reopening of the economy, which flooded the market with consumers trying to buy any and everything, which created a huge demand. We had logistics and supply chain issues, which caused inflation. At the same time, China remained closed, trying to curtail their COVID situation. So there was very little supply in the market, which contributed even more to inflation. And then we saw war in Ukraine, which is, by the way, the breadbasket to the world. So many parts of the world, their economies were decimated because of the increase in food prices because they lost the supply coming out of Ukraine. At the same time, because of sanctions on Russian oil, we saw a huge increase in oil prices, which contributed even more to inflation. So we saw a record high inflation in the U.S., highest in my lifetime, I'm sure highest in most of your lifetimes. So we had that to contend with. We also, as a result of inflation, saw the fear of recession affect the stock market. And so the stock market plummeted in 2022. The S&P 500, every sector pretty much except energy plummeted. Tech down like 28%. The S&P 500 as a total down 19%. So we saw this major contraction there, which affected not only your stock portfolio, but your retirement account, your 401k, your index funds, all of that stuff got affected by that. The Feds, in response to that, to try to curtail inflation and try to save the economy, raised interest rates, not once, but twice, and is suggesting that they will have to do it again probably in the spring. So what did that do to the real estate market? So it cooled the real estate market somewhat because the price of a loan increased dramatically from what it did the year before. So in 2022, we saw almost record lows in interest rates to a pretty hefty interest rate, which meant the price of real estate suddenly went up. So that cooled the market there somewhat. But what happened? We went from a market with people investing like crazy in the stock market the year before and saving like crazy the year before to suddenly the stock market plummeting, people losing that. We also saw a major cooling of the crypto market. Right, we saw a huge decline. I think it was like over 60% drop in Bitcoin, and we saw big players in the cryptocurrency market just bottom out. We saw FTX with this major scandal. We saw, Coinbase had some issues. So we saw a big decline in that market also. So we have to look at, okay, what opportunities have been created because of that. So the Federal Reserve, again, raise interest rates. So what does that mean? Right now, you can go on NerdWallet, by the way, or Bankrate.com, NerdWallet.com, Bankrate.com, and you will find that yields for CDs for 1 year, 4.5%, 4.7%, 4.8% for a CD, which we haven't seen that in a long time. High interest savings and checking accounts. Also, go to Bankrate.com or NerdWallet.com. Over 3% just for savings and checking accounts. We also saw the Series I bond when it was at its high. If you got it last year, it was at over 9%, but it's over 6% right now. So you can do the Series I bond over 6%. In the stock market, while everything else declined, we saw the energy sector go 58%. So it might be time to rebalance your portfolio. So can you really get in and make a lot of profit in the energy sector? Probably not, but you can probably, I think there's still room for growth. But consumer staples, which was slightly down, I believe will come up in 2023. So I think you can find opportunity there. Um, Healthcare, I think you can find, because that was slightly down, you can find some opportunities there. Materials, slightly down, you can probably find opportunity there. I would stay away from the tech sector because it was far overpriced during the pandemic, and now we're seeing a correction. We're seeing them lay off thousands of workers, and they're contracting majorly at this time. So I would stay away from the tech sector at this point. At some point, the correction will be okay. They'll bottom out, and then you can come back. I think the real estate market, there'll be a huge opportunity probably in the spring or summer of 2023, because if they raise the interest rates again, it's going to drive a lot of the amateurs out of the market. And so there'll be competition for sellers because you have a lot of properties on the market, but not a lot of buyers. And that will create a price war going down, which would be a great opportunity for investors. As an investor, we don't care if the interest rate is high right now, as long as the rental income can cover the debt, because eventually this thing will turn around, interest rates will come back down, and we'll just refinance. So I think there'll be a great opportunity to get a great price and eventually to refinance into a great loan, either spring or summer of 2023. So there are plenty of opportunities to make a lot of money next year while everybody else is running scared and worried about the recession. It's a great opportunity to get in and make a lot of money. So I'd love to hear some of your suggestions. I'd love to hear your comments. Please like, share, subscribe. Keep the questions coming, and I'll see you in 2023.